that the self-criticism that you hear in your head is the voice of your oppressor, and your oppressor is you. So that's the nasty troll sitting on your arm. Why am I talking about? Because today I'm going live and I will explain and walk you through why you cannot get unstuck with your English, and you can apply it to any other language, really. So first reason is that you do not set goals, or in other words, you do. You have goals in your mind somewhere. Probably you have lots and lots of ideas, right? But you do not practice that discernment. In a nutshell, it means that you want to get fluent. You want to write an academic paper in English with all those beautiful citations, or maybe you want to pitch at a conference, right? But when you see your boss or you see your colleagues, you literally get stuck. So the answer would be you have to set goals. And by saying setting goals, I'm not only saying set goals in general, so grab the journal and write, okay, 10 weeks from now, I will be super fluent. I will understand all the podcasts, I will read a book, and I will write an essay or write the best business email you have ever seen. No. My point is, sorry, it's so hot outside, like I'm boiling here in Southern Ontario in Canada. So the first thing is to have goals that are divided into two parts, short and long-term goals. So a short-term goal would be, in a week from now, I will practice speaking in English for 5 or 10 minutes a day. Or I will practice those idioms, 5 a day, 5 every 2 days, whatever. That would be the short-term goal. The long-term goal would be, in 10 to 12 weeks from now, I will progress in speaking and reading from B2 to C1. That's doable, absolutely. I'll explain you how to do it in my second line. A long-term goal would be 10 weeks from now, I will pitch at a conference. The people will be amazed and they will be like, oh, you can do it. That's fantastic. So that would be the goal setting. So this is the first reason why you cannot get unstuck. The second reason is that nasty troll and self-criticism that I have been talking about. And I mean the imposter syndrome. If you are a neurodivergent woman, I'm not only sure, I can bet on it, that you have that imposter syndrome. So you say, no, I cannot do it. I've always been stuck, and that's how it is. I never get better. This is where I am. And that's not true. Actually, you can fight the imposter syndrome, because imposter syndrome is that inner self-criticism. And it's the prison that we build for ourselves. And we are the only people who can break from it. So how to fight the imposter syndrome? You can celebrate small wins. Oh, you wrote an email. You did that exercise. You read that article in English. So just celebrate that small win. Do something amazing for yourself. Go have a massage, read a book, even just go to a cafe and celebrate with a beautiful cup of coffee, whatever makes you happy. That's one. The second way how you can go around or about your imposter syndrome is literally use those kinds of statements. They have been created for a reason, really, not just to create more paperwork, which generally is like a huge component of language learning or language teaching. But the kind of statements in in common European frameworks, or not Canadian, describe certain levels of what you can do at level A1, A0, B2, B1, C1, C2. So if you take kind of statements, and let's say you want to practice your reading or your writing or your speaking or listening, you have to say, okay, I'm at B2. I want to be C1 10 weeks from now. So what are the kind of statements? This, and that. So when you look at it, you know what are you progressing towards. So chunking it down to those smaller concepts, like baby steps. That's very, very important. What you also can do is to hire a coach, which is also always a great way. But what you can do is also find a supporting community. Your friends, your colleagues, family, people who make you happy, people who celebrate for who you are. And I'm sure you are beyond amazing. That's the second reason why you can't get unstuck. And now let's get to the third one. The third one is connected to the first one. So it's planning. Very often, when I was talking a second ago about those long and short-term goals, it boils down to another reason, which is graphic organizers and study trackers. Neurodivergent people, especially those with ADHD, they fight procrastination, but we'll talk about it in a second. But also, they have problems with planning. Like the executive functioning is not very good, but we can work on that. It's not like it is the way it is, and it will never get better. So one way to go about it is to use either a study tracker, use a graphic organizer, or use a bullet journal, whatever works for you. Chunk it down to smaller pieces, write it down. Because when you take it, it gives that endorphin boost in your brain. So you are already rewarded. And that's great. Second thing is you tend to remember better. Right? So use graphic organizers. It really helps organize your thoughts, and it really helps you also celebrate that progress, because when you study and when you have this graphic organizer, you can see that you have progress steadily, step by step, and you're just breaking through that plateau, which is amazing. And again, the fourth reason, we'll have 6 reasons today where you can't get unstuck. We have a bonus. So the fourth reason is the procrastination. Really, I know we've all been there, and we do procrastinate. That's our human nature. I procrastinate sometimes too, unfortunately, but I work on it very hard. However, what you can do with the procrastination method, you can either use an app. There are lots of apps, and I will not mention them because I'm not like advertising anything. Like, I'm not advertising an app. So do your own search, find an app. You can also use a clock. Use the Pomodoro method. Block your time. I cannot state it enough how color blocking my day has helped me and has helped my students, which is I work in peaks. So as a neurodivergent person, you probably know that you have boosts of energy when you are super energetic, and you feel like you're at the top of the world, right? And there are those moments when you're just super exhausted, right? So for example, when my students are morning people, they do more of the hard work, like let's say they work on the productive skills, which are harder for them in the morning, right? And then they read a book and they listen to the podcast in the evening or in the afternoon when they are low on energy. However, it might be different. You can be a night owl, right? And in the morning you're just grumpy. You're just probably thinking and dreaming of a coffee, of trying like hack to letters, and it doesn't help. So then do the low-key activities. Listen to podcasts. Read an article, maybe something easier, even like a tabloid, which is absolutely fine. And tabloids, by the way, are excellent way of learning a language. Tons of juicy vocabulary, by the way. Okay, so color block your time and work on your productivity peaks. So if you, let's say, are more productive in the morning, do the most challenging things in the morning, then move in the evening, in the afternoon, do something that's less challenging. And another reason, I do speak faster than I think, I apologize. So another reason why you cannot get unstuck with your English is also that you do not know how to study. And I'd say that's a huge problem. So cramming doesn't work. Just because you sit down and you start reading the book for 10 hours or 8 hours because we do tend to hyper-focus, doesn't help, right? What you can do is to space out your practice. And when you space out your practice, and it's an amazing learning tool, and it works beautifully with languages. So what you do when you space out your practice, you do not sit studying idioms. I'll stick to idioms and phrasal verbs. I apologize, for 5 hours a day. You do it for 10 minutes, then you take a day break. And then the day after, you come back to it, and then you take break. Why? Because not only your brain tends to forget just a tiny bit, but also what is even more important is that you have to retrieve the information. You have to retrieve it. You have to train your brain. It helps a little bit at the very beginning, but it's really beneficial. However, I'll be talking about it in my next live, which will be tips for neurodivergent learners. And another, I say, crucial fundamental reason why you cannot get unstuck with your English is also because you tend to consume passive knowledge. I cannot say it enough how many times my students have said, but I am watching Netflix. Duh, I watch all Ozark episodes, all seasons. I think there were 4. I watch Emily in Paris. My student once told me. She said, I watch all the episodes of Emily in Paris in English with subtitles. I said, that's smashing. However, learning a language is not an osmosis process. So as much as you would love to accumulate it, right? and just have it like stick to our head because it will just go. No, it won't. I'm sorry, I hate to break it to you, but it won't. It won't go magically to your head, really. So you have to do your part, whether you study by yourself, whether you have a coach. I'm sorry, I'm yawning. Just not enough coffee in the morning. So no matter how you work, whether it's with a coach, with a group of people, whether you go to conversation circle or anything, you have to do your part. It's like a team effort. So passive consumption is beautiful, but I can bet on it that the majority, just like the majority of my students, you are expert in passive consumption, probably watch all the Netflix, HBO, Amazon Prime, whatever, right, TV series. You've listened to podcasts, right? Or maybe you just read a little bit, and that's beautiful. But unless you start practicing, you're never gonna get better. You will never break through the spell of the Me Too plateau. It's not gonna work for you. So you have to practice. And I'm sorry, I know that's boring and mundane, and I keep telling it all the time. You have to practice. But easier said than done, right? So if you want to practice, you can have a study planner. So imagine you have, let me take a case study of my student who was afraid to talk. It's like a mixture of mindset and self-criticism. Even though she was amazing, she didn't believe in herself. So what you can do is to practice speaking 5 seconds a day, 10 seconds a day. Record yourself. If you have problems talking to your friend, talking to another person, to your partner, whoever, record yourself. 5, 10, 15, 20 seconds. Really. First time, try to speak about anything. The weather. Like, okay, I'm looking out of the window. Oh, it's so hot. The humid index is hitting like probably, I don't know, 80% or whatever. Talk about anything. Talk about the weather. Talk about the lunch that you had, or maybe the book, the movie, anything. Do it for 5 seconds. The next day, you do it for 10 seconds. The third day, you do it for 15 seconds, and then 20. You know what? And once you get the hang of it, it becomes so much easier. And then you can add idioms, different structures, clever sentences, gerunds, you name it. And suddenly, in a month from now, you just cannot stop talking. And that's the best thing, really. So again, I know it's easier said than done. So when you have the graphic organizer or a study tracker, it's so much easier to get like into the mood or into the vibe of doing it. So you do it in a study tracker. For example, you just take it. Okay, I've been speaking for 5 seconds today and I talked about this. Beautiful. You get the endorphin boost when you take it. So that's one benefit. So you are rewarded right away, right? And it's very important. And then you create habit. And that's the fundament of language learning. You create a habit. And it takes 21 days to create a habit. Did you know it? It's crucial. You create that habit. And if you find it too difficult, because I know we buy all those beautiful planners, right? We go to stationery store and we see those beautiful markers, right? Beautiful calendars or all the stickers. It all looks so lovely and enticing. I know because I do, by the way, I love stationery shops. I'm a huge fan of all the journals. So if you find it too difficult, because you buy like the 10th, let's say, journal or planner and nothing will happen afterwards, or you will do like take once and you forget about it. So what you can do is literally get a study tracker from someone who has already prepared one. So here I am. I have created an amazing monthly language planner. So you have a month planned out for you. All you have to do is to practice and take it. You also have 5 ways to start speaking. So it's like a very simple, juicy guide that will take you from 0 to hero, and it's free. So why not, right? So this was my first live. 5 ways I think you got 7 ways how to get unstuck with your English. If you have watch my video. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. I'm Ania Karwowska from Polka Languages, and my goal is to explain, or maybe just to convince neurodivergent people that they can be very successful language learners, and on the top of it, that they can be smashing. By the way, my student just got IELTS Band 8 at IELTS Academic, and she's dyslexic and ADHD, so she's a living proof that you can do it. I'm also a huge proponent of a scientific-based method, so no ELT fluff. So if you enjoyed it live, thank you very much. You can also listen to my podcast, and I'll be going live in 2 weeks from now, and I'll be talking about tips for neurodivergent students. So the next episode will be much longer, and it will also have lots of juicy information. So thank you very much, and have a lovely, lovely day. Hopefully it's not as hot as here, but I know that UK is impacted as well with the awful heat, so my heart goes out to you. I'm not a fan of humid, wet weather. Enjoy your day and have a wonderful week. To your success and science